says aloha kako. Where to know that, Sina?
All right, anytime you're ready, Manu. I would like to begin by introducing our wonderful and warm and illustrious guest. This is Dr. Manulani Aluli Meyer, who goes by Manu, from the University of Hawaii in West Oahu. She works in the field of indigenous epistemology and its role in worldwide awakening. Professor Aluli Meyer obtained her doctorate in the philosophy of education from Harvard with an EDD in 1998. She's a worldwide keynote speaker, writer, and international evaluator of indigenous PhDs. Her book, Hoʻoulu, Our Time of Becoming, is in its third printing. Her official title is that of konohiki, or a person who invites willingness of faculty, staff, and the campus community. We're so pleased and honored to have Manu here with us today. Thank you so much for being here, Manu.
Aloha mai kako pau. Laura, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. It's quite a miracle to get this type of paperwork done and to get me lassoed into a different time zone even. I appreciate your efforts, Laura, to gather this group of people for this purpose, because you folks, you've all come. There's 47 of us here today. So thank you for making the time and committing yourself to the unknown mysteries of your own evolution. Shall we go? Shall we start? This is a talk on ho'opono, and those of you who might know what ho'oponopono is, we're going to try to describe that ancient principle, that older principle of what that means. But I've called this talk specifically for you because we take baby steps to understand what the activation of truth, goodness, and correct living means. But for the next hour and a half, we're going to do it together, and you're going to get a Tita version, a Hawaiian Tita version of what I've been thinking through as I've been in institutes of higher education for the last 30 years, 35 years almost. And I've done it with this Ginger Hamilton has been a beloved friend. So please give her my aloha when you see it. So here we go. This is the Honolulu Skyline, and this is on the picture that my sister sent me just the other day. And it looks pretty ominous, but it's probably the filter she uses. And that about sums it up, doesn't it? It's all in the filter that you use. So I get a call almost every week, and people are saying, could you please do indigenous that or indigenous this? And of course I'm so honored to participate, but I don't want any of you to feel like indigenous is not inclusive of every single person on this planet. All indigenous means is continuity. And it's in situ, of course, it's contextual, but it means all of us. So it's just values and principles that are embodied that have been practiced for a long, long time. And so for the next hour and a half, let's suspend our disbelief that these principles that you already embody can be heightened just a little bit so that we can activate an energetic field so resonance can happen. All right, so here it is, ho'opono, native knowing for a transformed society. And I really believe this. So we're all going to sing this together, okay? This isn't the kind of karaoke thing, but I love doing this with people because even if you've never chanted before, which is probably all of you or 99% of you, chanted in a Hawaiian voice, we're going to do this together. And if you're not comfortable with it, just hum. The main thing is that you give an intentional effort to reach this frequency of open-mindedness. All right. So I want to tell you about this this vehe. In Hawaii, Hawaiian culture is recovering itself within the hearts and practices of everyone, of myself and those people and family members that feel healing is the priority of our planet. And it's been very helpful for us. It's been very helpful for me. So this is one of the chants that was given freely from Auntie Edith Kanaka from her halau, her hula school over in Hilo, Halau Kekuhi. And Halau Kekuhi continue to have this oli, this chant, for when the hula members come in and they prepare themselves to receive the direction and the instruction from the hula pele in particular, they have to chant and request for entrance. And this is their chant. And this is, we then have taught this to thousands of our youth in Hawaii, in our Hawaiian charter schools. And depending on the quality of how they do it, they can get admitted into their classrooms. And so, it's like a coach, and I used to coach volleyball at UH Hilo with Sharon Peterson, and she'd have the girls line up, and if they walked in sloppy and they didn't walk in, properly, she'd say, out, try again. So we're kind of asking you, I'm kind of asking you to prepare yourself for this time together. And so in this chant, you're asking for the knowledge that is beyond you or me, that is hidden in the things I say and don't say. So you're asking yourself to suspend normal processes of knowledge exchange, because you're going to learn from each other. And so we're gonna do the dyad thing in a little bit, but this E Homai is a simple chant, and we started learning it in about 1984. And you have to realize that Hawaii is an occupied country. We were illegally taken by the United States of America in 1893. And so our recovery is big. And our institutions of higher learning, including all of our community colleges and our universities, play an important role at the reclamation and the healing process that brings us all to the frequency of truth. Because today is about truth telling. Okay, that's ho'opono. Um, and so when we do this chant, we're going to do it 3 times. What I'd like you to do is ho'olono, just listen to me, do it once, and then you join, either in humming or in pronouncing the words, but you're joining in the request. Um, and for the first 10, 15 years of doing this chant, I was very nervous. Who's ever chanted? When you're recovering yourself from a type of trauma, historical trauma, you can't even believe that what you're saying actually makes a difference. But after doing it for 40 plus years, it does make a difference. It really does. And it ends up being, it's taught me the idea of simultaneity, and that's what we're going to go about today. Simultaneity is what you give is what you receive. So let's knock on the door that always opens inward, and ask for guidance today in this talk called Ho'opono. Okay, you guys? So everyone's on mute. Don't be unmuting yourself at this. This is your own um, personal time. All right, everyone? So you listen to me once, and then you follow, and each time it goes a little higher, okay? And then we'll do it for a total of 3 times. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e. E ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai e a e ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e. e homai, e homai, e homai e homai ka ike mai luna mai e. O nā mea huna no e au o nā mele e. E homai, e homai, e homai e. Thanks, everybody. My friend is doing her work on resonance, and I didn't know really what it was until I worked with them in Canada, and we did chants like this, and everybody chanted differently, but we resonated, we energetically clicked. There was a person that sounded like she was doing Gregorian chants. There was a Czechoslovakian singer. There was 4 native singers in different tribes, and it was phenomenal. So it's as what I'm learning is that it's never really about the form, about the words. It's about the essence. And today, let's make the form and essence synergize and resonate with the needs of your places and your people. Here's the blurb for this talk, so I can make it. I can be a woman of my word. This talk will explore the universal practice of truth telling at the core of Ho'opono. Ho'opono is the central operating principle of Ho'oponopono, a Hawaiian peacemaking process. Ho'opono means to speak and live truth, and it helps us recognize when it isn't around and why. Ho'opono is aloha in action. It is a kanaka priority that allows ʻike kupuna and ʻike aina, ancient sensibilities, to fill our lives and to give us direction and guidance. When we do this ourselves, we all evolve, we all heal. This is my home, and these are the plants that my neighbors gave us during the opening of the makahiki season. And the makahiki season starts at about the end of October, November, when the hui hui makali'i rises, the Pleiades, at sunset in the east, and the party's on. 4 months of no war, recognizing abundance. And this is the offerings that we did, and my cousin came to ritualize it with his hula halau, his hula school. So this is that kind of talk. We're offering abundance to each other. When you meet with each other in dyads, you are giving your full presence. And let's talk about what dyads are. Paulo Freire came into my class. How's that? You know what I mean? When he was alive, I think Donaldo Macedo and Henry Giroux were my teachers, and their friend was Paulo Freire, and he came into our class twice. And when you have that type of gentleman grace your classroom, things change. I remember I'm a lei maker, and I made a lei coupe, and it took me months to make this special lei, and I was wearing it because I wanted to really show him something that Hawaii is grateful for his liberating ideas. And when he came, I thought, oh, I've got to give him something. And I looked through my briefcase and my bag, and there's scotch tape and scissors. So what are you gonna give Paulo Freire? So I had to give him the sleigh that I made. And you know, anyways, so he's the one that taught me about dyads. And if I could summarize empowering, liberating, fabulous pedagogy, it's dyads, Elua Valino, or two. And he calls it the dialogic because we've all been taught the dialectic, right? We think it's about the dialectic, the idea that you have to argue your point, you've got to defend your thesis. No, you don't. We just think we do. So the dialogic is Hawaiians, we call it ku ka, ku ka. Insert an idea, receive an idea. Insert an idea, receive an idea. It's a gendered way of looking at good communication, great communication, and the intimacy that means when you really listen well and you really articulate an idea well. So in dyad work, you basically listening and then giving. And I know you folks know how to do it, but it's called the dialogic. And I really want to reintroduce this idea if some of you have never heard it, because your institutions have the capacity to transform, especially in this post-pandemic or almost post-pandemic world we're in. We have the opportunity to do things differently. And when you ask somebody like me into a room, you're asking for it. You're asking for this type of transformation. Okay, so don't whine. Okay, this is what I'm here to do. Just tell tell Laura what you think. So dyad work. So Laura's preparing herself to put us in two for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Laura, not six, because we're running out. And this is the road to my house. I live on Oahu, and I live in a very secluded place on water catchment. How's that? And so when I saw this cloud, oh, it just was so beautiful. So the dyad work it catches us by surprise. Okay, this is not just turn to your partner and talk. This is like turn to your partner and discover something about yourself. Turn to your partner and like, whoa, who are you? Like your interests will ignite his and vice versa. So be present with your partner. When Paulo Freire said, I asked him, what is your epistemology? And he laughed because it was a ridiculous question. And he said, my epistemology is hot, spicy food and blue ocean. You know what I mean? Take that, you little twerp. So this is why I want you to really talk to each other and to really listen with each other and do what my mother asked me 35 years ago when she was living with me. She said, Manu, what is your word for the year? I'm like, patience. And I hated it. I want to change the word. Mom goes, nope, that's perfect. And then they're like, ew, what a boring word. But oh my gosh, it ended up 35 years ago being the best word of my life in the beginning of the words that will become flowers in my lay of life. And believe me, it's been quite a ride. So think of your word for the year. And what happens, don't think too hard, and then talk to each other and talk about why you that word bubbled up. Okay? So have fun. What is your word for the year? And let's begin this discussion of ho'opono. Okay, Laura, hit it. All right. See you in 5.
Oops. Oh,
Wow. Way to go, everybody. Way to go. Wow, that was really good. Okay, if you can, hi Sina. If you can, put your word in the chat and let's just see them. Let's see the chats. Let's see your words because I want to see them. Gratitude. Thanks, Jamie. Strength, presence, joy, light, explore, listen, fearlessness, balance, opportunity, transformation. Me. All right. Tolerance, rebirth. Whoa. Okay. And soothes is change. Motivation, flexibility, acceptance, restoration. Wow. Okay. You must be teaching. You must be teaching higher institutions of learning. Surrender. Ready to go. Great. Wow, congratulations. Okay, do me a favor. Take your phone and put your word in your notes. Okay, put it on your notes. Just because people will go, "Oh, what's my word for the year?" Put it on your notes, and Sue, especially you, because change is looking for you. Absolutely.
I hope
So
so.
it is true. It is gonna
I'm
happen.
trying to aid it.
Come on, come on. You know why? Because intentionality is the hallmark of consciousness, Husserl said. And we have the same idea in Hawaiian, makahanaka ʻike, by my actions teach my mind. So if you have these words at the center of your iini, of your operating principles, it's going to change you. But you've got to heighten your sense of awareness of what they are. Okay, you guys, you've got to heighten your sense of awareness of what your word for the year is. And mark my word, at the end of this year, you're going to be blown away. Or not. Yeah, and don't blame me. It's you. Okay? And here's the energy of what indigenous practitioners are trying to, and all our allied scholars are trying to bring forward on the planet. And that is, it has always been about the integrity of our presence with ourselves, with our families, with our colleagues, with our animals, with our post mistresses, with our longs drugs people. It doesn't matter. It matters that you are present. And that's why the word of the year, if you took it seriously and with a type of internal rigor, your year will be absolutely transformational. It'll be calm. It'll be it'll be all your words that you use. Okay, you guys. So that is the beginning of Ho'opono. All right. So let's continue this PowerPoint. Okie dokie. All right. So Sue, thank you for that. I just got you for the last minute or so, but that was still enough uh to ask and to know your word for the year. Okay, so here's my word for the year. So, as a practitioner of all sorts of things, I just keep practicing things over and over and over because um I need to. And so truth is my word for the year, this year. And even though I've been practicing truth for only about 23 years, when my sister died, I called my other four sisters and said, "You guys, we're all liars. I'm a liar." I just said, "I'm a liar," because my sister died of brokenheartedness. She wasn't able to speak her truths in the world, and we saw it on her body. Um, and and so at age 40, 23 years ago, I said, "I am a liar." And they all said, I mean, every single one of them, "No, you're not." I go, "That is a lie. That is a lie." Especially as women, "How are you today?" "Fine." Like, that's not true. I say that without even thinking. But my dog might have died, or my neighbor's super ill and I'm worried about him, or this or that, or this or that. There's a million things. So I started telling the truth. And Pono for this next hour is about truth. Ho'opono is the speaking and the living of truth. Of course, in Buddhist studies, there's two types of truth, relative and absolute. Relative is the distinct, unique truth, the diversity of our truths, and absolute is the type of truth that can't be really explained through our cognition or intellect, but it can be experienced. So one is mundane and the other is ineffable. So though both we're going to go to today in different ways. But I want to tell you that I'm a twin, and this is my twin sister. And I just hated her, hated her because she was so small and I was a sports person. And then we'd come home and she'd never play because she's small, and we were playing volleyball and basketball. And mom would always like give me lickings because your twin never played. Your twin never played. And so I just couldn't stand her because she was making my life miserable, right? I mean, what do you know as a kid, as a teenager? You really, really, you're trying to do your best. Um, but she's my best friend now, and it's taken me some time. And the best work of my life. So I call her my mentor. Because if you are not mentored by difference, then what you're doing is trying to neocolonize it to look just like you. And Moana does not look like me. And I also hated her because she looks like my mother, our mother, beautiful Hawaiian. And I look like our father, military man from Belleville, Illinois. You know what I mean? They'd go, "Wow, Manu, Moana looks so like your mother, and you look like your father." And I'm just like, I'd go up and smack that person. Because, in a Hawaiian family, to look like shark bait, they always call me shark bait. You know what shark bait is? Yeah, I know, Maureen. Thank you for that. Shark bait is when you're the belly of the fish. You're white. So and compared to Moana, I was shark bait. Yeah, so, but we've survived. We've survived. And that's my mom and my sister. So this is why the idea of ho'opono, the truth telling, the truth living, it begins and stays and rests and resonates within the context of relationships. And one of my favorite things to not discuss in the world is the idea that I'm gay. Homophobia in the world is um is the world's issue, but when you're gay and homophobic, it's bad. So bad. It's called self-loathing. And so that's my partner, Nahiraka. She's from Aotearoa. And so the Olomakawai process of when you don't speak the truth, you only know, you've got to know that. So I have never really shared my orientation with the world, but this is why, with everyone doing the he, she, they, them business, I put I, thou. Okay. So, suck it up. Okay. Because I, thou, if you don't know what that means, look it up. Because, my orientation in the world is my own business. It's my own intimacy. And that's old. That's old. And so, to heal ourselves, we got to first understand how much we do lie and how much I um, do not tell the truth. Like how much is this shirt, Manu? I'd say something, I don't know, very affordable because I want you to like me, I guess. I want you to think I'm a good shopper. So I had to stop lying. And that's been only a practice of 23 years. But it's changed me. It's changed me and it's helped me know who I am. And so, as a twin sister that looks like this, as a gay woman that's trying to heal from, I don't know, being gay, I guess. But now it's society's issue to work through. But that reflection of ourselves is a serious commitment to waking up. And I can't make you do it except for the next hour. So that's why we're doing dyad work, okay? Feel the love, feel the pressure. Because ho'opono is what Auntie Lynette Paglinawan has helped me understand. She is my teacher. She's been my teacher for a long time in the process of ho'oponopono. But these are her words. Pono is within yourself. It is a state of being. Self-reflection is key to developing pono. Now, that self-reflection is really an important discipline. It really is. I used to tell this to my partner. Wow, you don't even reflect at all. How is this possible? And she would say, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" So, of course, even if I'm right about this, I still was wrong. So I always like to say, right is the booby prize. Your truth doesn't have to fish slap people. Your truth doesn't have to be condemning to people. Um, when you ho'opono, when you practice self-reflection to self-evolve, it doesn't have to separate you from others. It shouldn't, because being right is the booby prize. I always say that it's the booby prize. So if you're right, so big deal. Um, you know, get loving, and that's what ho'opono has taught me. is that when you forget about being right and you go toward pono, to correctness, toward goodness, toward loving, your life changes. It really does. Auntie Lynette Paglinawan also has taught us pono is a simplified way of doing ho'oponopono. You begin with yourself. Okay, so let's go into ho'oponopono just for 5 minutes, because what's happening in the world is that everyone thinks ho'oponopono are these, 12 words. Forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. I mean, I love you, thank you. And that is fabulous. That is fabulous. But that's not ho'oponopono. Okay, you guys? That is something else. And that is, we call it the Len Mantra. Ho'oponopono, when you use goodness to get back to goodness, it's a mutual process. You don't just, run in and say, forgive me, I'm sorry. I mean, that's a good thing to do. Don't misunderstand me, but it's got to be mutual. It's got to be mutual. All right. So that mutuality is a process. And in Hawaii, we've been at this for some time to recover this process of mutual forgiveness, mutual care, mutual life, mutual causal realities. So Auntie Tutu Kavena brought this to our awareness in the 60s, 1965, 66. And this is her process. These are the words. So it's a big process. And these are the words, these are the ideas. It's basically an unfolding of the wrongdoing that entangles us. And so we bring truth to get back to truth. So this is how it is. This is what it looks like. So let's just kind of rest here for a while. Um, I want to give you this as a kind of a maturing, so that you can understand that cultural practices are way more deeper than a 498 book can describe. Um, and they are way more contextualized in situ, in the places that they were born. So yes, the mantra of forgive me, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you. When you do it intentionally, that is beautiful. But that is like knocking on the door to ask for entrance in Ho'oponopono. And that, when you knock on the door like that, wow, the door always opens. So thank you for learning that, those of you who do know that. But I want to introduce the idea of uh, Ho'oponopono. Because see the process? It's big. They always want me to do Ho'oponopono with people that don't know each other. I said, no, 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 no. Um, that's called mediation, and mediation is completely necessary and very respectable. But when we're called in to do Ho'oponopono, it's when people want to shoot each other because they've loved each other so much. You've got to return to your loving. But if you've never had love for the people in the room, how can you return to what you never had? So, Ho'oponopono, I'm offering it to you right now as a way to contextualize how vital it is to recognize the value of truth. Because when a Ho'oponopono is called, when a family is calling to convene themselves to begin this process of healing and restitution and the return to aloha, it's a process, and it's a very committed process, and that's where pono and aloha dovetail. So it's kind of like truth as wisdom, and aloha as compassion. So you need both. Ho'opono is that lightning rod, and then aloha is the bell of compassion. You need both. So here we go. So let's go into what it means, because Auntie says this is kind of a big process and everyone feels a little bit overwhelmed about doing this process well. So she started to introduce the idea of ho'opono. Let's start by the activation of our own goodness. And let's know when we're not there. And let's be truthful about it. And let's return to goodness with our own awareness. And this is what this talk is about, because we're so busy. We're so busy trying to respond to the needs of our students, our colleagues, our children, our environment, our community. um, I want us to take a breath and respond to the idea of what continuity can mean in our society today. All right, so I gave you all those many definitions of ho'oponopono, but my job is to link universal practices with them so that we can discuss them together. Okay. That, by the way, I'm a wahine kalai pohaku, and I carve stones. That is one of my stones that I carved. And when you make a pohaku, I call hua pohaku, hua mo'o, they're round, they're perfectly round. And you don't think, you don't really think when you do round stones because you can't. You have to close your eyes. And one hand is consistent, and that's my right hand with the small hammer, and the other hand is random. Random, 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 random. So there it is again, the perceived contradictions of the world. And this is why I love talking about wholeness, because even in your work, when it's the most conflicted, that's where that's where the party is. You know what I mean? Sue, I'm talking to you. Okay? All right? If it's time, it's time, but you don't have to leave with your hair on fire. You can leave with joy in your heart. So this is the point that I learned from my twin sister, Moana, that conflict. Oh, Paulo Freire said this. Conflict is the midwife of consciousness. Isn't that cool? Well, I should be conscious by now. Waiting, waiting. So that's the point. Let be in conflict, walk in, but how you respond to it, not how you react. React is about body, and body is emotions, and responding is about more about your mind and your heart. So let's mature. We're all older than 30, hopefully. Just kidding. I am. And at me at 30, I reacted. But and at me at 40, I thought I stopped reacting, not true. But me at 50, I was a little better. Me at 60 plus, oh my gosh, I hope I'm responding in a more enlightened way, because heaven knows, we have had conflict. I've had conflict in my life, and now I'm grateful, and that's where we practice pono, you guys. So in ho'oponopono, these are 5 of the main ingredients. And so I want to offer them now to you so you understand that specificity leads to universality. So when people come to you and they're completely different, you gotta recognize that we are the same differently. You gotta put different in there. People used to yell at me in certain talks and saying, "Why do you always talk about difference? Why do you always talk about difference? Why don't you talk about what we have in common?" I go, "Difference is what we have in common." That would piss them off. Difference is what we have in common. And so, if you don't get that, you don't get that. I'm not, I can't baby feed it to you. So, okay, try this. Specificity leads to universality. All right, how's that? That can be more palatable. So here's kukulu. When we kukulu in the ho'oponopono practice, we are actually energizing ourselves and pooling our mana so people can heal. And so, and it is a ritual. And oftentimes I have people, if Auntie's ho'omauhala, if she's really mad and she's just not saying anything because she's so mad, we pause, we ho'omalu, we pause, and we kukulu, and we send her our love, because we're not judging. This is not a moment to judge. So when we kukulu kumuhana, it's like energy healing, and we really know it works. Auntie feels our love, and she just bursts out and cries because she is not judged for whatever she's going to say next. So kukulu kumuhana is that quantum healing found in the pulling of intentionality. What is your intention? you've got to be more accurate about what that is. If you're going to work to undermine your colleagues, and you wonder why you're being undermined, if you're going to work to affirm the goodness of the principles that you believe in, what are they? What are they? If you're going to work to be pissed off at that absolute neurotic student that you can't stand, you know what I mean? I love those students. They are my teachers. They are my teachers because I've had a great teacher in my twin. Really. Here, the idea of entanglement. So here's a specific idea for Hawaiian culture that you can recognize in your own. And that is the awareness that our mind creates and sustains obstructions. My mind. A brilliant scholar once said, reality is not our external environment, it's our perception of it. Isn't that beautiful? Our reality is not our external sense of the world, it's our perception. So here is that idea in Ho'oponopono where we have to basically untangle the misunderstandings, the miscommunications, and that we have to recognize that we are the main engines that keep that idea alive. So what are you keeping alive in your life that you want to let go? Only you know what that is. And that ho'opono practice is only yours. Oya i'o is absolute truth. Absolute truth. And so now, when people say, Money, you want to go to the party? I think, and I'm like, no, no, no. Thanks though. I'm gonna go home and read a book. And they're like, whoa, TMI, TMI, too much information. So, you don't have to be like, but Oya i'o is that sense of truth telling. It's an enlightened practice that dissolves obstructions. So my truth telling began when I wanted to start to heal with being with hating myself, self-loathing as a gay woman. Oh, so Oya i'o for me is I was just fearful of what people would say. And so that truth telling, once I realized that it was my fear and not other people's oppression, that it was my choice to not tell people, then I began to heal. And then I began to speak my truth. That's Oya i'o. Pono, of course, is practicing and living higher principles in thought, speech, and action. So Ho'opono, I learned from a gentleman named Maori Marsden in Aotearoa, New Zealand. He said you always have to describe the higher. And when you describe the higher, you have the capacity to inhabit those ideas. But if you don't practice describing the higher, it's harder. So pono is that practice to describe the higher so you can inhabit those principles in all processes, thinking, speaking, and acting. And of course, mihi. In a ho'oponopono, mihi is when you start to ask for forgiveness and you grant forgiveness. But it's also in a practice of interconnection and humility. And mihi is what we do in my classrooms. It's a way to honor people and to say what you learned about them and what you learn about yourself through their telling. So the mihi then becomes an illumination of purpose found in humility, interconnection, and forgiveness. So Hawaiian culture is not very different from yours. We just are trying to articulate it simpler so that we can all practice it together. All right, so ready for dyad work? All right, Laura, not yet. And Laura, put me in a group. So here we go. Knowledge from our ancient elders. All that is a segue so you can look at this ulu tree. Okay, look at that breadfruit tree. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? That is a Hawaiian breadfruit tree. And ulu, one of those will feed a family of 4 easily for 2 days. It's an amazing food source of our people. And ulu also means spirit. So ʻike kupuna is, I want that ulu to inspire the spirit of your own elders. But get a piece of paper out and write the third line of these 3 olelo no eao. Please write them so you can talk about them with your partner. Ike kupuna means, ike means knowledge, it means to see, it also means to be given revelations. And kupuna our energetic forces standing at the punavai, standing at the headwaters, are elders. So knowledge from our ancient elders. So makahanaka ʻike literally means knowledge comes from experience. But my nohuna, my interpretation after my whole lifetime of understanding that proverb is by my actions teach my mind. Write that down because I want you to discuss the esoteric interpretation. By my actions teach my mind. Hahai no ka'ua I ka'ulu la'au. Plant a forest and the rains will come. That's pure science. But my esoteric, my noahuna interpretation is share purpose with others and live a life of meaning. Write that down. He puko'a kani aina. The coral sounds out for land. From the one, the many, from the many, the one. All right. So, talk to your partner. What on earth does this mean, and how does it relate to truth telling? Have fun. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Introduce yourself if you don't know each other, okay, you guys? By my actions, teach my mind, share purpose with others, and live a life of meaning. And from the one, the many, from the many, the one. Okay? Have fun.
Recording in progress.
I can just stay with you, Laura.
Yay! Wow, how was that, everybody?
Too
Good.
short.
Too
Yeah,
short.
very short. Yeah.
Oh my God, and we've only got a half an hour. Jeez Louise.
We did.
Wow.
Just a quick comment that someone joined us in our room who didn't have their interpreter with them, so we couldn't communicate very well. I just want to pass that forward.
If the interpreter could let me know what their name is or phone number, then I can put the interpreter in the room with the person who needs it. I was unaware of that person's name, but I'll be happy to put them in the same room if you could let me know in the chat. Thank you for letting me know.
Thanks, gang. Thanks for that. I appreciated my group. That was a lot of fun. So thank you for that, because the more we can talk in higher principles, the more we can actually begin to embody them. So this is why ʻike kupuna, the knowledge from our elders, is really, really fundamental. Okay, let's and Laura, please help Laura get that interpreter into the room, okay? Because ʻike aina is another idea. This is where I live, and we were coming home from doing something super cool, and I just thought that was a hoʻailona. That was a portend. That was a sign that said, Manu, way to go. And so I pulled the car over and I took this image, and I just love it. So knowledge from our land. You know, when people people say, well, how do you summarize indigenous epistemology, indigenous ways of knowing? Hawaiian epistemology is this. You could summarize it in 2 words: aloha aina, love land. So please take some notes now and prepare yourself for another dyad. Because I just really want you guys to talk to each other. Knowledge from our land is absolutely the most important knowledge. Like my friend Greg Kahete says, we have to start learning from land, not simply about land. Okay, learning from land is a mutual idea. Learning about land is just extractive. So ʻike aina, what I get from ʻike aina, from the knowledge from our natural world, is the concept of simultaneity. Okay? And this is how Hawaiians say it: aloha aku, aloha mai. Love, it's not about love, it's about loving. Kokua aku, kokua mai. You help, and thus you are helped. Pono aku, pono mai. Truth is what truth does. A'o aku, a'o mai. We teach what we we teach ourselves what we need to learn. Okay? So ʻike aina is about some of the most fundamental principles in the world are about simultaneity. And we call it also mutual emergence. Um, some people call it the fundamental characteristic of life. The Buddhists call it paticca samuppada, or dependent co-arising, or as you sow, so shall you reap. You will give, you will get what you receive. And that is to me ʻike aina. We learn these things from our land. You extract land and you wonder why water, you keep taking from land, you wonder why it becomes polluted. I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy. So for us to awaken in hoʻopono practitioners, in a practice as practitioners, in our own lives, we've now got to bump it up to where we practice this and how simultaneity is actually the deeper process of life. In the quantum world, it's called complementarity. Everything complements each other. And just because we don't see it, that doesn't mean it's not there. So I know this is, by the way, this is an entire semester's work in my PhD classes. So sorry about that. So this, you only give me, thanks, Rusty. Yeah, you get it. Rusty gets it.
Yeah.
Okay, Rusty, good luck. Can you guys talk about them? Talk about this. What the heck is simultaneity? I didn't get it at all, but good luck. I want Rusty. Just kidding, Laura. Okay, have fun. We'll see you back in 5 minutes. Good luck, everybody. Mutual emergence. What does this have to mean with truth telling and living a good life? You can do it. You can do it. See you in 5. Everyone take a breath, take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. That was challenging. You did well, Alex and Tolly. Thank you so much. Wow, you guys. Now, this is kind of like we are all running and getting wind burns, that's for sure. Because the idea of simultaneity and the idea of mutual emergence, I'm just trying to simplify very complex ideas. But if we can't simplify ideas so that they can be used well, then what? We just maintain complexity for what? Why? So this is why I just gave you I just gave you a lot. So forgive me for that. An hour and a half is absolutely no time at all. But that's time enough to annoy you. Hopefully I was on the right side of annoying. Because, if it makes you think, I used to come into high schools and I'd be like, just like this. I'd be like this. And they go, wow, Auntie, you making us think. Yeah, I'm making you think. Okay, so you can do it. You can do it because simultaneity and the idea that we actually receive what it is that we give is very basic to the world and very basic to institutions of higher learning, but we don't think so. We think that if I could just speak more words, people will understand something. Nothing could be further from the truth, especially today. We must speak less and engage more. Our engagement with justice must be relative. Our engagement with knowledge production must be useful. Okay? We cannot, our institutions are falling all around us. So unless we alter our capacity to respond more effortlessly to the needs of our time, we're all going to go by the way of the dodo. So here's something that I want to remind us, that as we evolve as institutions, these are people, we are people in institutions, that truth is the highest goal and aloha is the greatest truth. I like to say pono is the highest goal and aloha is the greatest pono. It all boils down to, I should have brought this up first, you guys, that it's about love. It's about form and essence. Form is the outside, Auntie Lynette Puglin once said, and essence is the inward meaning, the effects, and the purpose. The deep essence is always aloha. Okay? So, Do you love your students, or do you just put up with them? You know what I mean? Do you love your job, or do you just want to get the hell out? Do you love your colleagues, or you just like put up with them? Do you love your commute? You know what I mean? No, you don't have to love commute, but you know what I mean? Energetically, you can do stuff in your car that is transformative for you. Okay? And ulua e kevalina a kealoha, loving is the practice of an awake mind. And our chancellor has it as her byline on the bottom of her emails. And I love that. So let me see, is that the last? Okay. Okay, we're gonna learn one more song together, okay, everybody? Because Ho'opono is the speaking of truth. And you know, as a professor of philosophy, I swear it's getting clearer and clearer. And the clarity is about loving. And now I'm going to start this class in the summer because I don't teach too many classes nowadays. My job is to indigenize the university. How's that? Yeah, I always say it'll get done by next week Tuesday, 3 o'clock. But vibrationally, people are longing. I am longing to love and to be loved. I really believe that loving is the practice of an awake mind. That aloha is our true intelligence, and aloha will be the primal source of our collective emergence. Absolutely. Hands down, yes, yes, yes. And any of you who doubt me, absolutely, that's okay. Yeah, I love you too. But you know, I'm about continuity. Everything about my job and my life force is about what makes sense. And it boils down to loving. And that's my pono, because I've learned that from a sister that I couldn't stand, and I've learned that from siblings that couldn't stand me, and I've learned that from a partner that is completely clear and brutally honest, and I've learned that from my life circumstances that I would have changed in a moment if I could. So acceptance is a higher frequency. There's judgment, discernment, and acceptance. See, if you always describe the higher and you occupy those principles, your life will change. Or not, or you're not, or you don't. It's up to you. And that choice is that, Jean-Paul Sartre thing. It's the choice. It's your choice. And that distinction of choice is the difference between consciousness and the heading toward consciousness. Okay? Because you're not unconscious. We're heading to consciousness. And so I try to teach people this olelo no iao, this ulua e kevelina a kealoha as often as I can, because then you can hum it. Then you can use the vibration. Then you can teach your friends, teach your family. It can be like, wow, you know some Hawaiian, auntie. Wow. You could be the neighborhood titter that goes, hey, come on, you guys, let's learn. So, this is for you, girl. Come on. So I want us to say this together because we've only got 10 more minutes and we can learn it together. Ulua'e, just say ulua'e, kevelina, a kealoha. Ulua'e kevelina, a kealoha. Isn't that beautiful? That's simple. Loving is the practice of an awake mind. And if you want to, what's the word? Record it with your phone. We've got lots of cool little things nowadays that could amplify our understanding. Because believe it or not, when you're in conflict, when you're in struggles, when you're in strife, when you're in contradictory states of mind, when you're in boiling, the kai ahi ahi, and you just want to choke somebody, you can just remember this and try to chant it, and it will change everything, because loving is the practice of an awake mind. All right, so I'm going to do it once. And then you're going to do it with me 4 more times for a total of 5. Now, why do we do it 5? Because 5 is a number, a Hawaiian number of healing. Okay, you guys? So we're going to do it 5 because we're going to heal. We're going to kukulu kumuhana. We're going to plug into the energetic field of a world that is in sorrow, in change, in transformation. We are calling it the hulihia. The radical transformation of the world is on. So do we enter with fear, or do we enter with love? Do we enter with doubt and negativity, or do we enter with food and optimism? It's still our choice. All right? So, ulua e kevelina a keloha. All right, so listen once and then repeat with me. And we stay at the same tone and we do it with intentionality. Okay? And then we'll finish this talk. Okay, Laura, is that okay? All right, thank you. Ulua e kevelina a ke aloha. 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 So I really mean it. Loving is the practice of an awake mind, and that's my ho'opono. My word is truth for the year, and just when I thought I was telling the truth, I have to be even deeper in my truth telling and to commit myself to this type of presentation against all odds, because I am a professor and blah 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 blah. And so it's the nature of our times to now go right to a deeper truth, not just factual information. We go to the liberating rationality that Henry Giroux has spoken of and written about. Because there are three types of rationality: technical rationality, hermeneutic rationality, and liberating rationality. And I want to be liberated, and I want to be of service to others, just like my Auntie Lynette is. Look at her. This is my teacher. Look at her. She's 83 years old. She had to she had to change her stint for her dialysis because she's got a heart pacemaker or whatever, pacer thing on her. So she knows she's on borrowed time. So this is her. So mahalo nui for listening, and for being of service to your people. And mahalo nui for taking an extra hour and a half time in your afternoon. It's just like amazing. No one made you do this, or did you have to? Oh, thanks, you guys. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really, really. Oh, that's a lot of hearts. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah. Gotta do the ho'opono thing, okay, you guys? Yeah, let's do the ho'opono thing and let's save our hearts and be of service to ourselves and those closest to us, and then those that we do not know. Because we could do this. I think institutions of higher learning, this is our responsibility. We have to really get that it's not really about information exchange anymore. It never was, but we just thought it was. It's about the quality of how that information is exchanged. And what is your quality? Only you can answer that. So day one, for my students, I say, what grade you want? You should see them. They're like, what? We could ask for our grades? Like, yeah, what grade you want? Because, excellence is its own reward. I don't give the grade, you do. And so, do something radical. Be your own radical self. And you came today. That's impressive. There's 44 of you that remained. I appreciate that. 2:24. You got 5 minutes. Okay, Laura, thank you so much. Just want to give you guys some 5 minutes off. Mahalo, everyone.
Thank you so much, Manu, for your warmth and this incredible transformational moment that we had with you. It's so rare to find someone whose heart is so close to the surface at all times, and it's so clear that yours is. And I think for all of us who are here, it's been a really special hour and a half for us. Well, thank you.
Double shaka, everybody. Thank you, you guys. Thank you. Be the professionals you wish to see in the world. And have fun in your institutions and get to know each other, okay? It's not relationships that it's going to save our world. It's the quality of them. So blessings, Laura. Thank you for all the work you did to get me here. And Donna, come home every now and then, okay? All right?
Where
you,
do you
everyone.
teach at? Where do you teach at, Manu?
UH West Oahu, the Aina
Oh,
Bella.
okay.
Okay. But I'm planting coconuts, you guys. It's really, I'm over teaching. I really want to plant food now. Yeah. Free food. Who wants coconuts? So,
Papaya.
yeah. Oh, well, okay, papayas, but coconuts are 100 years. Come on. Well, coconuts, people view them as a liability and that's so wrong. So that's we got to change that. So you guys, thank you. I had a blast. Thanks for putting up with me. Thanks, everyone. I got to go now pick up my greens from Ma'o Farms. Aloha. Bye,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Go to the Windward Mall, Farmers Market.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you, Manu.
Hey, Judy.
Hey, Donna.